Hello, Jeremy.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Chain Out Podcast. Yes, it's me, Jeremy, and with me, as always, is your favorite co host, Darrell. How's it going, Darrell?
I'm doing fantastic, Jeremy. I'm pumped for tonight's episode 27.
Yeah, how could you not be pumped? We've got so many things happening tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. But we got a bumper packed episode today. Should we just get into it and find out what we got on the show tonight?
Well, why don't we? Yeah, let's let people know what they can expect on tonight's episode. So tonight we are going to give you guys a kind of a recap on how our first week of and first event of our A tier fantasy disc golf picks went. So, and that was at the Foxwood Open.
Yeah, tonight's episode is going to be a Foxwood Open bumper packed edition. We're also going to be talking to the assistant tournament director, Darrell Bankes.
Yes. So we're going to do that. And we thought, talking to Darrell Bankes was pretty good. That's going to give us some information about Foxwood Open. But why not get some more information about Foxwood Open with the FPO winner, Chantel Budinsky?
Absolutely. Yeah, that's amazing. And you can't get one without the other. So we thought, why not also go one step further? We'll get the MPO winner, Thomas Gilbert, as well.
That's right. And if that wasn't enough for you, make sure to stick around after the interviews. And what we're going to do is we're going to give you a recap of our first big tournament of the year that Darrell and I participated in, which was the spring runoff.
Yeah, absolutely. And as always, it wouldn't be an episode of Chain Up Podcast if we didn't give you an update on the Edgar #1 bag tag. So stay tuned for that afterwards as well.
You bet. And then we'll wrap up the episode with a quick look at what the Canadian pros are doing on the Disc Golf Pro Tour.
Absolutely. Sounds like a bumper episode, Jeremy. Should we get right into it?
We should.
Yeah, so as we said, for those of you who previously had watched the fantasy episode that we started with the Foxwood Open. We're doing the 9 A tiers across Canada. And I would just like to say, to start off with, we are proud to announce
that drum roll, please.
Drum roll, please. For the fantasy episodes, fantasy disc golf episodes, we have a sponsor.
Yes, we do.
Yeah, we do. Yeah. Brendan at BR Disc Golf graciously reached out to us, and we're still working out the details, but we are going to be offering gift cards based on the amount of points that we get. So
yes.
We can talk a little bit about that when we get it there exactly, but we're excited to announce that. We're so thankful to Brendan for stepping up and stepping in. And yeah, that's exciting news for us, right, Jeremy?
Oh, it's so exciting. I can't wait I'm so glad that somebody's come up and going to add even more to our fantasy picks events.
Yeah, absolutely. So first episode, Foxwood Open. Tim Plamondon was our first special guest. So if you haven't watched that episode, go back and check it out. But when we had him on the show, boy, was he prepared.
Oh, come on. It wasn't his first time doing a picks thing at all. I'm sure he's been around the block once or twice with that.
Yeah. He put us to shame on his presentation there. But we'll just quickly go over the rules just to let everybody know if you didn't see how the rules are. So you get to pick 3 MPO, 3 FPO, snake draft. If you get one of your players gets the win, you get 5 points. If they come on the podium, they get 3. And if they make it in the top 10, they get 1 point. So people that are good at doing math will realize that 22 points is the maximum you can get for your picks. Now, during the draft, I mean, you say it was self-proclaimed, but we all came up with team names, and I was Team Shambles because I wasn't that organized. My picks were all over the place. I didn't have enough picks. I didn't have my picks laid out in order.
It felt like maybe, Darrell, you were in that situation where you're like, it's going to go exactly as planned, and I am not ready for any other contingency.
It could have been something along those lines, yeah. But should we get to the points, Jeremy?
Well, I'm ready. I know we have to eventually.
Do you want to see the points?
Yeah, let's show them the points.
So Team J-Pow ended up with 7 points.
And Team that was Firebird, a well-earned 7 points.
Team Mr. Prepared had 12 points. And looky who took down the win this week with 13 points. Team Shambles.
Congratulations.
Team Shambles no more.
Congratulations, Team Shambles. Great job. Your team's looking good. All those teams look good, but you came out the victor. Nice 13.
Yeah. I mean, it worked as good as we thought it would be. The point scoring looks good. So that's the total points for the episode. Or sorry, that's the total points for the Foxwood Open. But obviously, because it's our first week, those are the total points in the overall standing as well, because we're going to be adding them up week by week as well.
Yes.
Now,
so we had that.
Because we're doing it tournament by tournament as well, somebody is going to win each tournament.
Yes.
Who do you think that might be, Jeremy?
Oh, look at that.
It's Team Shambles because I won the first week. So I won the points total. And of course, I won the first week as well. But on top of that, we always said that, you know, if it turns out that you won the most amount of weeks, but I won the most amount of points, we would bring it down to the fan vote. So we put it up on our Instagram and on the last episode as well. You can vote on the team that you think that was going to win.
And that would be me, right? That's Team J-Pow for the win.
Well, you're kind of close. Oh, yeah, it was Team Shambles taking down the whole week.
Oh, man.
Thank you for everybody that voted for me. Thank you. Your confidence did not go amiss. We knew we were going to win.
Yeah, yes. There you go. You did it all, Darrell. You took down the win for points. You took down the win for tournament, and you got the fan vote. So J-Pow fans and guest fans, all right, cheers. Here we go.
And just for any Edmonton Oilers fans that are listening, I'm drinking Gretzky 99 today.
Nice. So that's a great one if I ever saw one.
There you go. There you go, Jeremy. That's a wrap. That's the Fantasy League. We'll do it again for the next tournament.
Yes, and that next tournament that will be coming up will be the Tournament Capital Open.
There you go.
So what do you think? Are we ready to keep rolling along?
Let's move it right along, Jeremy. We've got a bumper-packed episode, like I said.
All right, so let's get to our first guest. Our first guest is the Assistant Tournament Director for the Foxwood Open and the TD of the Diameter Open, which we're going to find out a little bit more, but it's been newly named Innova RIP. It's an A-tier happening this fall. He's been a PDGA member since 2012. He plays an MP50. He plays an MP40. He plays an MA1. He plays all over the place. We're happy to have Darrell Bankes on the show. And look at that. We've got Darrell.
I think we brought you in a little bit early. How are you doing?
Good enough.
Yeah, we're excited to have you here.
I was technologically challenged.
Well, you managed to get it figured out, and it looks like you've got a beautiful setup there. That's a pretty nice disc golf man cave almost, is it?
Well, it's the hangout at No Goat.
Ah, gotcha.
I had league tonight here, so I'm just doing league.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's see, league just wrapped up. Everyone went home, so they left me here in the cafe.
Oh, so, good. Well,
I wasn't making it home.
No. Well, I'm glad you were able to make some time for us, because we've with our podcast here, we're trying to bring a lot of attention to Canadian disc golf, and a lot of people cover the Disc Golf Pro Tour, but we'd really like to have people know more about the Canadian players, the Canadian tournaments, and we thought, what better way to do that than to cover the A tiers, have a fantasy pick, and go about it that way. So the first A tier of the year was the one that you were the assistant tournament director of, and that was Foxwood Open.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So how are you feeling? Like, you've probably had a really busy week.
It's a busy week. I mean, the Foxwood Open, we work hard on it all year long. We've actually started talking about next year already, about new sponsors, new people, some different things to do, possibly switching the layout up significantly. But, running a big A tier, it was only 3 days, the Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and we were there 14-hour days starting Thursday. And, I didn't get home till 1 a.m. on Monday evening after our rain delay. So,
right.
Yeah, that was really interesting. And I'm sure it's not just you on your own, right? You got all the volunteers, and you've obviously got the other tournament directors working alongside you as well.
Yeah, but we actually have Sean O'Reilly is our official TD according to the PDGA. So he's handling all the truly logistical stuff. This year I'm the assistant TD officially, if we're going to put titles on things. And then we still have a whole layer of volunteers that help us out, from Grand River Disc Golf, Adam Hussey, and, Suds, and, all kinds of people were there helping out all weekend long. And not to mention just all the volunteers, spotting, carrying water out, doing things.
Yeah. No, that's fantastic. Well, let's give our listeners a little bit of history on Foxwood. I've got some of this information, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I'll just blast you a bit of it. But it's held at the Foxwood Golf and Country Club out in Baden, Ontario, which is in the Waterloo area. The tournament started in 2020, and this was the 5th event.
This was our 5th year, our 4th year as an A tier.
4th year as an A tier. Okay, perfect. And with that too, it's like a quickly selling out event. Like, you guys were pumped. You had 223 registrations, and you guys were pretty much up in a lot of the top divisions. Like, you're not able to offer as many because there's so much interest in this event. It looks like it goes right from MPO down to about MA40, MA2, in that range.
That's it. We're still trying to run a competitive event, and it's an A tier. And because you've got to create a course that's competitive for, the top level pros. I'm just going to click something off my screen. There we go. Sorry, guys.
No worries.
It's tough to always accommodate the lower level players that are in the MA3 and MA4. And you only have so much space on a course. There's only, and we pack them in. We did 225 people, 7:30 a.m. tee times, every 9 minutes off the blocks, going as far as 4 o'clock, 4:10. I think we decided to wrap it up this year, which was wise of us, given the rain delay on the final day.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, I was just going to mention that it's such a packed day. If everything cooperates, if everything goes according to plan, it's still a full packed day, let alone when you do get those unexpected weather, interruptions as well.
The nice thing about Foxwood is it's so well maintained. Everything is crisp and clear. We've been doing it for years. We've got the layout nailed and know how long people are going to take to get around, where the congestion occurs. We put spotters in those particular spots, or people to help, usher it along. So we're pretty confident that when we set those tee times, we know it's going to take people just about 3 hours to complete the round. So, 4 o'clock tee time means we're finishing at 7:30 for, the lead card's usually a bit slower because they're waiting for camera crews to follow, and, they take their time a bit, but they make less throws. So, it generally goes quick. So we have a couple hour buffer in there when we used it all on Monday night.
Definitely. And I think at this time of year too, you are lucky because you do have the light on your side as well. So it's not like you're getting into glow golf right away if you don't get off the course at 7 o'clock.
Yes, that's true. You will see when you finally see the video coverage that we're producing that the street lamps were on around the final green, because the final green is actually an island green we create within the roundabout of the usual drop-off for people playing disc golf.
Yep. Okay.
Foxwood and Golf North, the owner of Foxwood and Golf North Properties, they own a lot of golf courses across Canada. They've been a great partner for a year, and they really let us have our way for this one weekend a year. They go, fine, Darrell, we'll shut down the parking lot. We'll make people walk the long distance, and you can do that island green, which is really a classic part of the Foxwood Open experience.
I was just going to say that, from watching the previous Park Pro coverage, you mentioned about changing up the course there, but that's kind of a staple of the last hole, right? That island. That
18th hole brings a lot of joy every year and a lot of misery. Not to, a bit of a spoiler. It came down to the 18th hole to decide the second US DGC qualifying spot. And, I'll spoil it. Martin Handel took the big long shot, bombed it into the green to get onto the island in 2. And he was tied with Cam Zanini at the time. Yeah. And Cam Zanini was forced into, wasn't able to go for the green. So he had to lay up to the just short of the island, and then made his third shot onto the green, right close to the basket, gave Martin a knee knocker that he had to, sorry, there's mosquitoes in here, had to make, and sure enough, he just nailed it. So it was an exciting finish, and it was the 18th hole, forcing that real risk reward on the birdie opportunity, and Martin took the chance again, like a pro.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's what you want to see. So speaking of, we want to see it, obviously it takes a little bit of time to put that sort of production together. Is there any timeline that when you're hoping to get that coverage out?
We're still catching up on sleep. The guys from Big Disc Energy are putting that together. Nathan Ransom, he coordinated a group of people to video that event for us this weekend, and with some of the club members from Grand River Disc Golf. So I expect he's hustling to get it done, but a lot of these guys, this is a bit of a part-time gig in that, and it still takes coordinating the one or two guys that are going to sit there in the recording booth and give all the recording to go along with it, give the commentary. So
it comes in.
I think it'll probably be a couple weeks. I might bug them for a little highlight reel that we can put out to, Instagram as a couple little reels, a bit of teaser. Yeah. But I know Innova and the USDGC and Throw Pink folks would like that. So, but I still haven't been bothered to call him yet. So he played all weekend and he filmed all weekend. So they worked hard.
Oh wow. Yeah, that's a lot of work, and then probably has a day job he's going back to this week and trying to get it all done.
Yeah, a lot of these people are still doing disc golf as an extra business, on the side of their other full-time jobs.
Yeah. Well, you'd mentioned Martin Hendel, and we did have him on the show last week, so that's great to hear that he got one of those spots. So with the USDGC and the Throw Pink, so was it 2 USDGC spots and then 1 Throw Pink? Is that kind of how it was this weekend?
Yes, it was. That's exactly right.
Okay. And then also, too, we actually got a chance to meet Kevin King down at Spring Runoff, who's part of NADGT, and you were able to give some spots to the championships as well for that?
Yes, we've been doing that for the last, I think, 3 years. I think that this is our 3rd year of running it at our event as an NADGT qualifier also, which kind of just spruces it up. It just says that the amateurs are there qualifying in the same way that the pros are there qualifying. So it's a little bit of energy. Not everyone's really worried about getting their NADGT spot, but we send people down to Austin every year, I think, from Foxwood. So, it's nice to send the Canadians down to represent.
Yes. Yeah, for sure. Now, Darrell, when we were looking and I was doing some research on the Foxwood course, there is a white course, which is the one that you guys play for this tournament, and you fill that one right up to the brim. Now, there's also a red course on there. Is that tell us a little bit about that course. Is that something that you might ever try to incorporate to make the tournament even bigger?
Bigger is probably not an option at the property. The issue being that, disc golf is still not the same level of revenue generator as the ball golf layouts are. So Foxwood is still doing a bit of Foxwood and Golf North are sponsoring disc golf when they allow us to take up a whole weekend of 9 holes of the ball golf course there all weekend long. They would have generated probably more revenue just letting regular ball golfers go out there. So they're already doing a nice gesture. So we're lucky enough that Foxwood has 27 ball golf holes. And on the 27 ball golf holes, on 2 of the separate 9s, we've managed to convince them to build 2 18-hole disc golf courses that I've designed and installed there over the years. One year we did rotate between the 2 properties, and we used the red and the white course alternating days. And they're just different layouts. The red layout will be an exciting course that we are trying very hard to work with Golf North and Foxwood to upgrade to make it playable as an A-tier. Right now it is, it's a gorgeous layout, but it doesn't have permanent tees at the moment. So they just play off of turf for some of the grass and stuff, so it's not played as often. So we're talking to them, and the local Grand River Disc Golf Club is probably going to help out. And we're hoping if everyone agrees to it, we're hopefully going to get some permanent tees on that side of the property this year, which will allow us to consider moving it there. Those of you that remember when we ran the Foxwood Open and used the red course, we had a lot of very high scores that day. It was one of the windiest days in disc golf, and there are some challenging lines out on that course. It's a tighter course than the white, so it would make for a very interesting A-tier level tournament, especially when we start bringing in some of the tweaks and adjustments that we do at the Foxwood white course every year. Every year we add 3 or 4 new tees, we change some pin locations, and we do that fairly for the amateurs and the pros alike, because everybody wants a special experience when they come out to a course.
Oh, great. Yeah, that sounds like you've got it just dialed in and figured out, and it would be great. I know now you've put another course on my bucket list of ones to come out and do. I've been out to Ontario and played Christie Lake and St. Julian's, but now I've got one more stop the next time I'm out that way.
Yeah, you got 1, 2, 3, 4. I bet you need to go play.
Oh, for sure. I think Oak Goat would be one of those as well, wouldn't it?
You got to go to Oak Goat. I mean, that's where I am. It's a course. It's a special place here. I mean, the place is decked out. We got a restaurant, bar. You can hang out here. You get goats you can take out for a walk. You can sleep in the alpaca pen. We got everything.
Wow.
And it's a true, double 18-hole layout, shorts and longs on every hole, multiple baskets on every hole. Lighting just changed. Something just turned off in the background that was giving some better lighting, but this is all right. It's really fun here. You got to do Oak Goat. You got to do Foxwood White. You got to do Foxwood Red when we get that one done. When we go in there with the local club guys that have been playing it for years, and I'll work with them to tweak the design, it's going to be killer. And then there's a treat up at Abbey Gardens.
Oh.
You've never heard of Abbey Gardens? It's not going to please the bombers and the biggest players in the world, but for 95% of us that are amateurs, just looking to go out and have a good time, playing in that 800, 850 to 920, 930 rated, it might be the prettiest piece of landscape anyone has ever let me put a disc golf course on.
Wow.
Anywhere. And I've put one out in Hawaii. I put them everywhere. These are fun. So.
Well, Darrell, are you writing these down? I guess we're recording it. We've got it covered, hey?
Yeah, exactly. I'm just looking in the chat.
When you come, I will treat you guys to a fun road trip for 2 days.
Oh, we love it.
Courses, 2 days, drinks on the dock at the cottage,
Wow.
all the good stuff.
Sold.
How can we turn that down?
Yeah,
exactly.
We've got a disc golf course at the cottage we can go play, an Ace Place.
Oh, wow.
We got a 10-hole Ace Place course at the cottage. So, it's a good time when you come to Ontario.
That's awesome.
Absolutely. I was just looking in the chat. Somebody mentioned Sandy Hollow. Is that a good course to play as well?
Sandy Hollow is a great course. It's just unfortunate at the moment that Sandy Hollow is in a moment of jeopardy where the city of Barrie is about to expand their landfill site, which it happens to be adjacent to. I think that's the story. And there's a chance they're going to lose it, but they've got such a massive and active community up in the Barrie area that no doubt they're going to get a top tier course in that region, as a result of this one closing. If it closes, it might just get tweaked. I'm uncertain of the exact story, but they're running a big tournament up there next week. So, awesome. Hopefully everyone's going to be out there playing that one and really enjoying it.
Good.
I wish Darrell, I should have signed up.
Book your time off now.
I keep forgetting to sign up for tournaments. So
yeah, that's it. You're so busy organizing them and everything else that you've got on your plate. But going back to Foxwood there and looking at some of the scores and that, there were some really hot scores there. There was some hard, difficult holes, as you said, and some big numbers as well. But the one thing I noticed is that Darrell and I talk about, whether we should pay into ace pots, but it looked like this weekend it might have been one of the times to pay into one. It looks like there was a couple, some big shots there this weekend.
There were a couple aces. We had one on, this is how bad I am. We had one on 13.
Yeah.
And we had one on another hole, but I'm drawing a blank.
Well, I'm prepared for you, Darrell. I think it was maybe 15. It looked like it was Calvin Rurda and Chris Brown. Is that right?
Yeah, Chris Brown did the big one on 13, and that's where Calvin got it. He got it on 15, which is the shorter one. Calvin, I'm going to assume he went forehand on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Went forehand around the tree. So,
well, when we think about those ones, is we are both lucky now, Darrell and I, that we've gotten an ace under our belts. But I think the ultimate ace is the tournament ace, when you've got all the people around watching, you got maybe some cash in an ace pot pool or something like that. Like that's when everything comes together at the right moment.
That's the moment. It happened to me once. I was playing at Super Spin, John Pytel's course out in the Ottawa area.
Welcome to the Chain Out podcast.
Sorry.
John Pytel's tournament. It was Ontario Provincials. I stood up on the first tee on the first round of shotgun start, dropped an ace right in the basket.
Wow.
And I turned around and went, what do I win? Sort of thing. And then we all went, oh, there was no ace pot. I'm like, you're kidding me. So anyways, that was my one tournament ace. Other than that, they only happen rarely when I'm having fun.
That's what we always say, is that if anybody's going for an ace, like nobody goes for aces in tournaments. They're always, a misthrow, a wind carry or something like that. If you're going for an ace and you miss it, you're left with a 30, 40 foot back, right? So if you get them in a tournament, it wasn't meant to be, is what we say.
Yeah, that's true. So, yeah.
Well, with that being said, though, Darrell, I would have probably thought on your first one there, if you were first hole, first ace, run that thing down, and then just say, yeah, no, I'm out. I'm done. This is there's nothing else I need to prove today.
I could have walked away, but I think I did go in and win that tournament. So I'm pretty happy about sticking around for that weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, one thing that we noticed that we were just down at Lethbridge for the spring runoff tournament this year, and we were excited to see that it's not, once your round is done, the round isn't the tournament isn't over. We also had the long drive competition. We had putt competitions and things like that. Was there other things that was offered at Foxwood as well?
Yeah, no
doubles.
We run a pretty packed schedule. It's shocking me how much fun it is to hang around the 18th green at Foxwood. The beers start popping out. People are sitting there drinking. It's such a fun hole to watch. And right there where people can go back to their cars and get settled, change their shoes, get comfy. And with Foxwood being a full course, like a full country club,
right.
People are going inside, drinking beers. People are playing crokinole. We brought crokinole boards out from Tracy Boards.
Right.
So people are just hanging around having a good time. And because it is a big tournament, people are excited to do well. Yeah. So they're really paying attention to it. Some tournaments work well for that, but when we're running a schedule that goes all the way through and we really want some of the amateurs to stick around and watch the pros. And as far as the spectator course, there's nothing better than walking along on a golf course after a round. The grass is soft, no deep grass you're walking through. You got perfect views all the time. So it's a lovely one to follow and go check out what your friends are doing, which we encourage.
Yeah. So definitely more entertainment there than just finishing your round and getting back in your car and going away again. So yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
So did you find that as well then, Darrell, that with 225 players on the course, did you have another 225, or how does it work? Because I know spectating with disc golf, it's kind of a newer thing that's starting to grow. Like you're seeing from 4 years ago to now, it's starting to become more of a popular thing.
It's like, let's face it, it's still regional pros for the most part playing in these tournaments, right? So you're not drawing a giant fan base, coming out to watch these players for the most part. And most of the biggest fans, they were all there playing anyways.
That's true.
Yeah. So, they're just hanging out. So there's some moms and some dads, and a couple people showed up to look at the, watch it a bit. And a few spouses managed to come out and, cheer on their respective spouse that abandoned them for the weekend to play disc golf. But other than that, it's, this is still a regional level A tier. So we really didn't have a big expectation for a lot of spectators. Okay. That might change later in the season when we're running a disc golf pro tour Q series event here at Oak Coat. But we're going to be looking for spectators to come to that. But, it's a different type of event at that moment.
Right, for sure. Well, and the one other thing there that we were looking at was you guys had an awesome designer for your discs this year and Miles of Discs, and we got to see those Foxwood commemorative discs. Now, were those ones that were open for everyone, or was that just something that was only for people who played in the tournament?
Well, we sold a lot of those discs. Those were by Marmoset.
Oh, Marmoset. Okay, sorry. Thank you.
Sorry. That Miles is a friend of mine. Miles is an Innova ambassador, and I make Miles. I don't make Miles do anything. I asked Miles, "Hey, Miles, you're great on these podcasts and on the on the Instagram and all the social media. Can you do me a little favor and try and pawn off some of these discs for me?"
Oh, okay.
So he did a presentation on those. Marmoset is quite a well-known disc artist out of the United States that does a ton of work for Innova Disc Golf.
Okay.
And so he was nice enough to do those for us for this tournament. Those were available. We pre-sold a whole bunch for the disc golf tournament because we did some advanced registration, and those that paid the advanced registration were given one of the triple foil Marmoset artwork discs. We had a number left over that we sold randomly as fundraisers also at a premium price. And, those were all supplied by Innova Disc Golf. We're helping out. They were all Halo discs. And then all the players, they received a single, not a triple stamp, a single stamp version of the same artwork on some Champion Moondust plastic, which is pretty special and rare. So Innova really helped out that way. And at the same time, we asked Marmoset to do the matching stamp for the Goat tournament, which I just happen to have a couple right here.
Oh, look at those.
They just look so nice.
Yeah.
So they're all on Halo. The triple foils are all on the Halos.
Yep.
And I do have a bunch of single foil ones. They're available here at the Goat. But, and that triple foil effort is, it's a lot of work. In case you don't know the process, but each disc is simply stamped 3 different times with 3 different metal, art stamps. So,
wow,
it's a process. So that's why they come with a premium price, and we also don't offer them that often to people because it kind of bogs down the hot press stamps, hot press machines, hot stamp machines. Let's get that right. There we go.
Well, when you say that too, that makes a lot of sense because sometimes, when people are looking to purchase discs and such, and they go, well, why is this disc cost so much? It looks great. But when you're saying a process like that, you could definitely see it. While we're going on to it, why don't we roll in a bit? The other event that's coming out, it was initially named the Diameter Open, and it's a Q Series A tier that's happening in the fall. But there was some big news today that maybe you can share with us on that.
Yeah, so that was an exciting move that just happened. So Luke Coombs, who owns Diameter Apparel, who's a great friend of mine. I've been playing disc golf and talking disc golf business with Luke since we went and played Amateur Worlds down in Kalamazoo.
Okay.
And that was quite a while ago. And Luke's been in the disc golf business for a few years now with Diameter Apparel. And I've been running Tin Lid, and I work for Innova Disc Golf, and I design a lot of courses and do all that stuff. So we came up with. So Luke ran the Diameter Open up in Guelph last year, and this year he wanted to scale it up. Luke and Diameter Apparel sponsor the Disc Golf Pro Tour. They sponsor a lot of pro players. They're supplying a ton of apparel and stuff to the PDGA. I think they're helping out clubs straight across the country. I use them for a ton of my, tournament, player pack editions, special stuff we need. We get them to do Oak Goat clothing, Oak Goat hats. It's pretty much the best in the business for what he's doing. Okay. Right. He supplied a good chunk of the player pack for the Foxwood Open, all that stuff. So him and I came up with this idea and concocted the plan that we were going to move it to Oak Goat, but crank it up. So we worked hard all through the late summer last year, all through the fall, when PDGA applications were going in for A tiers, and we fought hard to get the exact date, the sweet spot in the Disc Golf Pro Tour to bring a Disc Golf Pro Tour event to Ontario. But the only time you can squeeze it in is between the Great Lakes Open and the Green Mountain Championship. And they put in a rest week this year between those two events. The shortest drive between the two locations is past Oak Goat.
Perfect.
We're literally 5 kilometers off the 401. And if you're taking Google Maps, anything between those two tournaments, it says drive straight through Canada and get there. So we fought to get that spot. And then we promptly went, let's crank this up to a Disc Golf Pro Tour qualifying series. And, last year, the Disc Golf Pro Tour was, they had a different name for it. And the Q Series is new this year.
Yes.
So we applied to them and did our, fair bit of hustling to get it done. Luke obviously knows some people. I was reaching out through the office, working with Innova Disc Golf to help make that happen. And so we fought to get that done. And then, so now we've got the tournament. We just went, we're going to call it the Diameter Open at the time, because Luke put so much effort into it. And that's what it should have been. And then, well, because it's such a good event, and because we did so well in promoting it and getting it going, we've got a stellar cast of players coming.
Yeah.
We've got current world champion coming. We've got both Robinsons. We've got Gannon Burr. We got Jeremy Colling. We've got Gavin Babcock, Alden Harris, Dustin Keegan, right? They're all coming to play.
Yeah.
And so that's pretty solid for a Canadian disc golf tournament in the Toronto area. So along with those players coming comes the need to crank up the profitability for the players to come.
Yeah,
if we want Disc Golf Pro Tour players and the Disc Golf Pro Tour to come to Canada, we've got to offer a purse that matches what they, are at least hoping to make. This year, some of them may come and go, look, it's the novelty of coming to Canada. We can live without it being the biggest purse in the world. But, Luke and I both feel like we have our duties to make it, as profitable. This is a job for a lot of these pro players.
Yeah.
They're out traveling, they're working, they're spending money every weekend. If you're not cashing out, it's costing you to be out there.
Yeah.
So, we want to try and help them out. We want to make it good. So as this evolved, and I worked for Innova, so I've been working with the office to see if we could get Innova on board to become a significant sponsor. And just recently, Innova Discs as a whole decided to, invest significantly and call this, they were willing to take on the bit of the responsibility that comes with being one of the lead title sponsors of an event. And as such, that took a little pressure off of Luke, which already contributes a ton to the business and helps out and, sponsors tons of players, is doing his duties. So Luke was very nice about it and, agreed that, that's okay. I think it's best for the tournament and it's best for disc golf going forward in Ontario that, the Disc Golf Pro Tour should be coming to one of the 5 or 6 biggest metropolitan areas in North America. To be dead honest, I think the Disc Golf Pro Tour event at Oak Goat might be the only one that's happening in one of the biggest metropolitan areas in North America.
Oh,
and that we got 7-8 million people within a 3-hour drive of here.
Yeah.
So we're expecting spectators. So Innova stepped up. They're helping out with the tournament. They're giving a lot of logistical support. Right off the top, the office helped out with the design of the logo. There's
perfect
people at the office that helps me out. So, good, you put it up. I thought I lost you there.
Yeah. No. I was just waiting for you to announce the new name. So
so it's the Innova Rip now.
That's fantastic, Darrell.
We're hoping everyone just rips it up to Canada and comes up here and rips up this course if they can. But I don't have any intention of letting it be completely rippable.
No way. Well,
There you go.
that's awesome because we had that great event in PEI, and now to have one in Ontario, somewhere central with that many people around that can get to it, that's fantastic. And Darrell, we're going to get ready to let you go here. We do have Chantel waiting for us in the waiting room there, so we're going to talk to her next. But what we did want to say as well was thank you so much to Innova as well and all the work that you've done to help our local club, EDGA. We've had some awesome EDGA printed discs that you guys have made. We've had our ones for our local Niska Pasquak, the bag tags that we've got. Yeah, we've been trading those around and talking about them all the time. We know that Diameter helps out the club as well. So you guys have done a lot for us and we appreciate it. But, it's been awesome having you on. If there's anything you want to shout out real quick here before we let you go.
Yeah, quickly, we're going to be starting to sell tickets to I just said the Diameter Open, the Innova Rip.
Yes.
I'm so used to calling it that because that's what I thought we were going to stick to. But yeah, the Innova Rip, we're going to sell tickets soon. We're probably hoping to sell 600-700 of those in advance. And I think you guys all need to get up to Fort McMurray and play the new course. I put it up in Fort McMurray last year, that new big one.
Yes.
Or 2 years ago. It was renamed Fox Hill. I think it was called Fox Hill. Got renamed. That course is a ton of fun, guys.
Yes, I've been up there, Darrell, and that one is a nice up and down, up and down. I love it. And looking to check it out again. You got to have some stamina to play that course.
Yeah. And they're getting I think they're going to put in a new course down at the old Lions Park course. We got a new place going in there too soon. So
perfect.
They asked me to help them do a little redesign on that, make it a little more friendly to the park as a whole, so that it was less conflict with some of the other activities that might go on in that park. So it's going to be a little shorter, but really fun and a great starter course for people going up there. So we can help with those across Canada as much as people like. So
awesome. Well, thank you so much, Darrell. What we'll do is we'll make sure when we head out to Ontario, we'll look you up, but we appreciate you coming on the show, and then maybe we'll get to talk to you after the Innova Rip tournament as well.
Thank you very much. Take care. Bye.
See you guys.
Good. Thanks, Darrell.
Done here. Come on, turn me off.
That's okay.
Just hit the leave button. Hang up. Leave the studio, but then just leave it open for a few minutes after you leave.
All right. Well, Darrell, that was awesome. Let's get right to our next guest. Our next guest is the 2024 Foxwood Open FPO winner. She's sponsored by Prodigy Disc, Goat Towel, Disc Republic, and Dry Bags. She was down in the U.S. earlier this year playing on the Disc Golf Pro Tour.
Delete? There's no delete, buddy.
Oh, no, leave. There's a button that says leave.
A little red phone that looks like hang up.
Not on my screen, buddy. There ain't nothing. Can't you just kick me out?
It's all good.
Yeah. Or you could close the program maybe there too, if that works.
Option.
Okay.
Wow, that's even not happening, guys. There we go.
I think he's still there. It's all good.
All right, Darrell.
If he comes back, he comes back. It's all good. More the merrier, right, Jeremy?
Yeah. Well, let's do that. Let's get Chantel right on here, and we could do another little intro with her.
Sounds good.
Hey, Chantel.
Hey, how are you doing, Chantel?
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
We're doing fantastic.
Yeah. We just had
welcome you onto the show.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Well, we just had Darrell Bankes, the TD of the Foxwood Open on, and we were getting ready. We kind of did your intro, but I want to do a little intro for you here and just kind of go through that and say we have the 2024 Foxwood Open FPO winner, a player who's sponsored by Prodigy Discs, Goat Towel, Disc Republic, and Dry Bags, probably even more, down in the U.S., playing on the Disc Golf Pro Tour this year. Chantel, Miss Frisbees Budinsky is with us on the show. Welcome.
Thank you.
What an opening. What a welcome.
Yeah, we try. We want to make sure you feel nice and comfortable when you're on. And first thing, of course, is congratulations on the big win at Foxwood Open this weekend.
Oh, thank you so much. It was such a good weekend.
Yeah. And then not only congratulations to that, but this is now a back-to-back win. This is the second time you've took the tournament down. How does that feel?
It felt really good. I played really well last year, and I just wanted to come play even better. And I think I played like 1 point higher than last year.
And yet it was still enough to get that win, hey?
Yes.
Well, when we were talking to Darrell, we understood that there was some recording being happening, and that's probably going to come out in a few weeks from now. But really, up in Canada, it's not. We don't have a DGN yet, so we don't get that real live example of what was happening. So we thought the best way we could get it was to have the winner on, and can maybe tell us a little bit about the weekend. And I don't know how deep you want to get in, but if you want to tell us a little bit about the rounds and how it all played out, and give us some of that excitement you were feeling all weekend.
Sure. Okay. Well, I guess starting off with, if we want to even talk about the practice round,
Sure.
I went super early to uh there was supposed to be rain, and so I went even earlier than I was supposed to, and I missed it by, well, I it started raining at hole 17. So I got a whole round in. So I was really happy with that, but the forecast was looking beautiful. And usually Foxwood is known for having some pretty unfortunate weather, but we got
Oh,
really lucky with the weather this week, besides Monday.
Monday. Yeah.
But we almost made it out with perfect weather. So the first day, it was like so calm. It's kind of crazy because you're always playing Foxwood with crazy wind, but it was so calm that you almost didn't know what to do. But there's always a little bit of wind on hole one.
Yeah.
It's always like a not helpful wind as well. And one is like the hardest hole on the course, in my opinion,
Yeah.
just because you're standing there with all these nerves and you're looking down a huge hill.
Right.
But yeah, so that was nice to actually play Foxwood without wind. And I feel like round one went really well. I was getting some birdies and I was keeping it pretty clean. So that was nice. I think I finished the round with a -3. They
Yeah.
made some of the holes, they gave the FPO an extra par on some of the back holes, which was nice because usually we have the same layout as MPO, but we got a couple extra pars, which were really nice. So those were some not easy birdies, but definitely you want to get the birdies back there.
Yeah.
So I think that's, yeah, it was really nice just seeing those changes for the FPO field.
For
Yeah.
sure.
Well, excuse me. You kind of touched on it there. We wanted to kind of do a bit more of a deep dive on hole one. It seems like it's a really, some courses they like to ease you into the course. Maybe a nice easy hole to start with, but hole one at Foxwood is definitely, it's a bruiser of a hole, right? I think there was only 2 birdies the whole tournament for the FPO.
Yep, and Alex got both of those.
Yeah.
I was okay with the bogey, to be honest, just because it's such a hard hole, and like I said, with the nerves, it's really hard to get up there for a par look. I don't know why,
Yeah.
but a birdie on that hole is pretty crazy.
Yeah, and to get 2 of them as well. And with Alex just recently taking down the Christie Lake Spring Fling and kind of jumping up to FPO this year, was she kind of a new face for you in the Canadian FPO competition?
I actually played with her last year at Bronte and the Beast. But she is definitely new. That was the only time I played with her, I'm pretty sure. So I couldn't really remember her game, but right when she threw on hole one, I was like, oh yeah, she bombs.
So that's definitely, is that kind of, we're seeing that a little bit even out in the West as well, with Sophia Donake with her big bomb as well. So is that kind of what's happening with the FPOs? We're starting to get some who are really learning how to rip the disc.
Yes, and I feel like if you start off knowing how to throw far, you have a little bit of an upper hand there.
For sure. And then, so you got through round one, you were sitting pretty good. You move into day 2 and you're on round 2. How does that one go?
Yeah, so it was a little bit windier, so a little more normal for Foxwood, and still hole one got me. But I was playing with a couple new people that I've never played with before. Jennifer Smiley from
Yeah.
I think Virginia. She
Yeah.
was on the card and she played so well that weekend. And yeah, so I have thinking, okay, I just need to keep it clean and maybe get a couple birdies and do what I did the day before. And I did a pretty good job of that. I got a lot of birdies, but I also got a couple extra bogeys. But overall, I was pretty happy with the round.
Yeah, when you say you got a few birdies, I'm thinking that like when I was looking, there was about 7 birdies. So that was a pretty, if the bogeys weren't there, that was quite the round.
Yeah, I was really happy with that. I think I just had one hole that I got a double bogey on, and it's like a pretty easy hole. I just kept throwing it into the ground. It happens, but I think that's the only thing that I was like kind of unhappy with for that round. Other than that,
Yeah.
it was a pretty good one.
And you had a really good finish to it as well, going birdie birdie on 17, 18. So a nice finish to the round.
Yep, that made me feel really good.
Yeah. Well, and that's we were just hearing, and 18 is kind of another tough one. Like you start tough and you finish tough with that island hole as well.
Yes, so usually it's a par 4 for the FPO, but they changed it to a par 5, which I think definitely was a good change because there was none of us getting there for a birdie look. Just because that island hole too it's so hard to finish on that little tiny island, so it gave us a little bit extra room to work with. So I think it was a very good change.
Good. Yeah, and then as you go into round 3, you've like the closest person you've got there is Jennifer Smiley is the only one who could catch you. Were you feeling pretty good? Did you know if you just played a solid round that third round, you were probably going to take it home, or where were your feelings when you stepped up on the tee on the last day?
I was pretty nervous. I really wanted to win this one, and there was only one spot for throw pink this year, so I was definitely feeling the nerves. Jennifer, she is really a consistent player. She has a good putt. She throws pretty far, and so I wasn't doubting that she couldn't beat me. But I was just trying to go and play my game the same as the other days, and hopefully that was good enough. And I guess it was.
Yeah. It certainly was for sure. And then speaking of that, you ended up earning that throw pink spot. So now that's a tournament that we love to watch. It's amazing the whole weekend of that event. And is that something that guaranteed you always want to be there for that event?
Yes, it's definitely something that I'm working for. If I missed it here, I was gonna go to Diameter Open and try to get that spot, but now I don't have to worry about that. I'm still gonna go play, but I feel a lot better now that I have the spot secured and I can start planning that little trip too.
Yeah. Takes a little bit of pressure off. You still, of course, want to win, but now you know that you can just go and have a good time. And from listening to Darrell tell us about the change from Diameter Open to just today, they're calling it the Innova Rip. And all the players that are going to be coming up, it sounds like it's going to feel like the pro events you've been going down to earlier in the year.
Yeah, I think there would have been extra pressure to do well there if I didn't already have the spot. So I'm glad that I got the win this weekend.
That's awesome. Also, too, while we're looking here, you've gone down this year, like you got elevated on the Prodigy team, which congratulations to you on that.
Thank
And
you.
that's given you a chance to actually play in a lot more pro tour events. Oh yeah, take a look what we got there.
Yeah. We like to support Canadian.
Aw.
We put our money where our mouth is here. We always like to support Canadian whenever we can.
Aw.
I don't know if you can quite see it just behind Jeremy, but he's got your goat towel on his bag there.
Oh yes.
Oh, I
down over to the
do.
Yeah.
side.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
And our tournament we played at the weekend, we got our Prodigy shirts on.
Yeah.
It was pretty much all Chantel's support here. I don't know what Thomas is going to say in a bit, but
I've got his disc. That's okay.
Okay, good. Yeah, but with being elevated with Prodigy, it seems like you're doing a lot more tournaments, and you headed down to the US. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so me and Prodigy, we talked and we got a good contract going. I can definitely get to more events this year. I'm doing all the events that I can basically drive to. So I'm not going to be going out west, which I'm a little sad about, but maybe next year. We'll see. But yeah, I'm looking forward to the rest of the year too, and I really hope that I'm able to get to the playoffs, maybe get some Disc Golf Pro Tour points and make it to the finale there.
Yeah.
That would be great.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
I know last year, Thomas, we were speaking of Thomas, we got him coming up later, put out a graphic of all the traveling that he did from city to city and flights and car rentals and just the amount of traveling that he did in the whole year. And we want to talk to him later about that. But yeah, it can be kind of hard to get out west.
Yeah, it's just trying to save money from flights because it gets so expensive when you're flying and then renting a car. It's just, it doesn't make much sense right now, but
Yeah.
maybe the future.
Yeah.
So when you and Chris do that travel like that, are you guys are you sharing driving? Is he the chauffeur, or what's the story to help get you guys to those events as quickly and easily as possible?
Chris usually does most of the driving. I'll help out a little, but he does most of it, I will admit.
Yeah. So, and what have you thought so far about a lot of those events that you went down to? Is there any of the ones that were maybe new for you this year, or something that was maybe your favorite event so far that you've been to?
We went to the whole Texas swing, and that was all new for me. So I enjoyed all those events, and I would like to go do the Texas swing next year as well. I always love U.S. women's. It doesn't even matter where the course is. It's just it's so fun. That tournament's my favorite, no matter what. So that's one that I'm just always going to be looking forward to.
For sure.
Awesome.
Well, one of the things that Darrell and I really enjoyed was we were so excited when you got to be kind of lead card down there, and then you got to be in the whole scrum at the beginning when they were doing all the interviews, and we thought it was fantastic and funny. We hope you did too, was even getting your big sigh at the end. We know that was a moment, and it just showed, yeah, that's us Canadians. That's our Canadian representative, and she's amazing. Like, how has it been now? Are you getting a little more comfortable in those situations?
I think it's always going to be a little weird, but I'm getting a little bit used to the cameras. But yeah, the first tournament of the year and just doing all of that, it was pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, they couldn't have told you that. They couldn't have said cut or something, so you knew, right?
He gave me a thumbs up, so I thought I was done, but
And I guess if we're talking about competitions down in the States, we'd be remiss for not bringing up your amazing victory at the American Flying Disc Open, being the first Canadian to win a Pro Tour event.
yeah, that was a really great weekend too.
Well, that's
Yeah, I
what we're
can see
here.
how
We
you'd
want to
feel.
hear about all your great weekends.
It was just the best. I don't know. I just played so well and it was easy, and then I won. Why can't it be like that all the time?
Yeah.
Yeah,
They
that's
just got to
amazing.
do a lot more tournaments that way somehow. You got to figure out how to channel that, put it in a bottle, and then have it ready for the next one.
Exactly. I need to figure it out.
Yeah. And so where does
was
that
it just the course that it was an easy course for you, or was it just that your game was on point in that weekend?
I
Just everything just
didn't
come together at once?
Yeah, it just all came together, especially the last round. Like my practice rounds, I was maybe like 2 under, and then to score an 8 down, I think it was. I was like,
Yeah.
wow, I'm just really good today. I don't know what to say.
That's awesome.
And then too, on top of that, you get kind of a historic and classic trophy out of it too that has a lot of meaning behind it, and it's quite large. What do you do with a big steering wheel like that once you get it?
It is in my living room, just sitting on top of like a decorative dresser, so everyone can see.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. Yeah. And then then the next thing is you just keep winning and you start racking up some money, and then you find a car that you can get and then switch the steering wheel out, and that becomes the steering wheel on the car, right?
Yeah, I never thought of that.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be interesting. Each tournament you win a different part of something and put it all
Yeah.
together by the time you're done. So, well, the other thing you've got going on too, so you've got the big Foxwood win here, and you're up in Canada, and you're in Canada for got a kind of a week off, and then you're going to be playing the Top Link out in Barrie.
Yes.
And is that a tournament like we're being out west, we're not as familiar with some of them and didn't dig too deep, but is that one that you've played before? Is this the first time around, or?
This will be my first time. I haven't even seen the course before. I'm just like in Canada, so I thought, oh, may as well go play another tournament. So I'm excited for that one. And I heard that it's like a shorter course, kind of birdie or die. So I'm excited to play with all the Canadian girls, and because anyone can win. So that'll be exciting.
Yeah.
Well, that's it. We've had a chance on the show to talk to Colleen McInnes and some of the other Canadians, and we're wanting to talk to even more of them. And we just realized how much talent there is up here. And yeah,
it's getting pretty good out here. There's a lot of women moving up, and they have a lot of talent.
Yeah. And that's we also do a fantasy disc golf league as well, where we go tournament by tournament. So we don't just start the whole season and pick our players. So it's tournament by tournament. But one of the reasons that we're doing that is so that we can, take those names of the players that people haven't heard of and just try and make them more household names, kind of get more interest in and awareness of those players. But on that topic, I should say that we did our recent Foxwood Open draft pick, and you were drafted number 1.
Aw.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I guess I made a lot of people happy then.
yes.
You didn't win, but you were on his team.
Good.
No, that's good. So yeah, that's part of it. So we're doing the A tiers. So any of the A tiers, when you come back up for the Innova Rip, you'll be right in that pool to be chosen up at the top again, and it'll be exciting that way. Well, Chantel, when you do come up to Canada now, are you finding, or when you come home, I guess, back to Windsor and back around, are you finding that your popularity, or are you getting a little bit more noticed when you're out, if you're walking around the mall, or people's, hey, I know who you are, things like that?
Maybe not the mall, but anytime I'm at the disc golf course, definitely.
Yeah. Does it make it a little harder to get those practice rounds in, or how does that go?
At my home course, not really, because I kind of know everyone. But anytime I'm like somewhere practicing for a course, I get stopped quite a bit. But it doesn't really bother me or make me miss out on practice. But
yeah, you just always have a Sharpie ready.
Oh yeah, no, I don't. They usually come prepared. So
oh, good.
I have to ask you, seeing as we're talking about practice, is Chris better at carrying your bag now? In one of your recent YouTube videos, he kind of kept it a little bit quiet, but he was waiting to see how many holes it would be until you asked him to carry the bag. That's his job as a caddy. He should be carrying your bag.
He's sneaky, but yeah, he's very good at carrying my bag. I didn't even notice he was doing that. It's so funny.
That's great. So now too is once you're done these tournaments, you're going to start heading down to the US again, and you got a real full plate. Is there, obviously Throw Pink is something that's going to be exciting for you. What else do you have kind of in mind and are excited about for the rest of the season?
Well, the end of July, I'm going back to the Preserve, which was my first tournament that I cashed at. So I'm very excited to go play there again. I loved that course. It was so much fun, but I'm also very excited to go back to Idlewild and see if I can play as well as I did last year, because that is a difficult course and I surprised myself. So it would be nice to do that again.
Yes. Now, there was one that you had posted on that you had a decent tournament, had some great rounds. There was some rain in that. Was that Idlewild or was that the Preserve? Do you remember? It's with all your posts and all your coverage there. It's there's so much to see.
I think the Preserve had pretty good weather. Idlewild, we had a weather delay and we were stuck in the hotel for a couple hours, but luckily when we went back, it was a beautiful day and we didn't really have to play in rain. So that was nice, because the year before was terrible. It was a terrible weekend for disc golf.
Well, and Chantel, thinking about that, that's something that we can bring back to Foxwood. It was kind of interesting was the way the tee times lined up there, because it was all on the white course. You guys had some late tee times to begin with. Now, was that something different too? Like, have you ever had tee times that late when you're playing other events? Because a lot of times FPO will play kind of morning or early afternoon.
Yeah. I think the only time we go out late is basically Foxwood. I mean, maybe a couple other random tournaments, or like when you have a 2-round tournament, but I hate it. I hate going out so late. I'm just sitting around all day getting nervous. And I like to just get out super early and do the round. And and then you have the full day to do whatever you want afterwards. That was hard getting done so late.
Yeah. And with that too, was that like on that last round, there was a lightning delay that kind of pulled you guys to all the way to like 7 o'clock or something like that?
Yeah, I think we finished just after 6 p.m. and then we had to drive 3 hours home, so we didn't get home till real late. But yeah, I was starving.
Yeah, I guess you bring snacks and stuff, maybe, you know, like you've got a protein bar or some water or something, but that's not supposed to get you through till the very end of the evening.
No. Luckily, Chris and I had some snacks in the car, so we went and got like a bag of Doritos and ate it.
No, that's great. So yeah, you're in Windsor there, and with that, the one other thing too about Windsor is we see you do a lot of recording at your one local course that you've got. Have you kind of where are you at with that course? Have you kind of got what's your personal best there? Have you kind of hit something new and exciting there?
Okay, well, my personal best from the short tees, I think, is a 16 down. It's a pretty
16.
It's 16. It's an open park style course, which is still 16's like a really great score.
Yeah.
And I haven't done that in a while. But we got long tees, so Chris and I usually play those now just to make sure we know how to throw far still. But I think my personal best on longs is, I think, 8 down or something, maybe 9. But yeah, we kind of mix it up. We do shorts and longs and just trying to keep our minds sharp, make sure we know all the shots.
Yes.
Is
Well,
that the only course that's close to you that I mean, obviously it's close to you're going to play it, but is there any other challenging courses that you like to that maybe are a bit of a further drive away?
The closest course to us is Waterworks and VA Barrie in St. Thomas. We don't really go there very often unless we go to Michigan. Then there's a bunch of courses there that are like 30 to 45 minutes away.
Right.
But I don't know, we kind of just like to go try new courses. There's not a course that we keep going back to, but I always do love Black Locust. The toboggan, where toboggan is. There's 3 courses in that park, and the other 2 they're very fun courses.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I mean, toboggan's the one that you always hear about, right?
Yes, it was very different. It's not as hilly, and it's very wooded. So
it's something.
Do you prefer? Sorry, Jerry.
I would say, so it's something some 40-year-old amateurs could go out and enjoy.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Do you prefer playing on wooded courses, or does your style, or do you prefer playing on the more open?
I like the wooded courses. I like shorter technical. I feel like I don't have the longest throw.
Right.
I like to envision like the shot that I can throw and pick what disc can do it. That's why I really started playing disc golf. But yeah, definitely wooded, I feel like suits my game a little bit better.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We're not that lucky that we don't have that. Well, we have 2 wooded courses, but they're a little bit out of our way. But yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Now, the other thing we want to do while we have you on too, Chantel, is give some time and a little bit of time for your sponsors and such. So, we know you're with Prodigy, and we mentioned GOAT. We got the towel there and some of the other sponsors. Did you want to shout anybody out there and kind of make sure everyone knows? Because the one thing we want to do is we want to bring attention to you as a Canadian FPO, but we also want to make sure that all of our listeners know exactly how they can help you out and how they can sponsor you and keep helping to grow our Canadian players.
Yeah, of course. Well, obviously, shout out to Prodigy, because if I didn't have them, I wouldn't be here. So thank you. And I got that signature disc, and you can get that at discrepublic.ca. They're also my sponsor. Use code Miss Frisbees.
Yes.
That is a big support too. And obviously, Goat Towel. I have that amazing towel, and I didn't even know they were from Canada. They're just like 3 hours away from me. I didn't even know that. So that's awesome. So go. Pretty. And then Drive Bags too, for giving me the best bags on the market.
Fantastic.
There you go.
And you mentioned it too there, Miss Frisbees. So the one thing everyone needs to know is that if you want to follow Chantel and Chris put out a ton of content and a ton of great content, whether it's on YouTube, Instagram. You guys are pretty much everywhere, and that's at Miss Frisbees, right?
Yes.
So I would tell everyone, let's just take a quick pause. Let's make sure if they're not subscribed. Are they subscribing, Darrell?
Yeah, everybody's. Yeah, you've just gone up by 100 subscribers. Now, so you're all good.
So we really
Perfect.
appreciate you, Chantel, and thank you for joining us. We wish you all the rest of the luck of this season. Is there anything else before we let you go? Any last things that you wanted to shout out?
I don't think so. Maybe just shout out to Chris because he's, the one getting me to all these places and just the biggest support that I have.
Oh,
Awesome.
well, fantastic.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah,
Okay.
you're very welcome. Thank you. We'll speak to you soon.
Okay, bye.
Hopefully
Bye,
you win the
Chantel.
next event and we can talk to you again.
Hopefully.
Fingers crossed. Well, Darrell, look at this episode going, just rolling along.
I need to take a break.
Yeah, okay. Let's take a break. Everybody else, you can take a quick break here too.
Only
Thanks
because
for
I've seen you
listening
do
and
it, I
joining.
need to do it as well.
So yeah, that's fantastic talking to Chantel. So much time that she gave us, and just such a nice person and such a great representative for Canada on the Pro Tour. Always smiling, always laughing. Just a joy to talk to. Chantel is.
Okay, we're ready. Let's keep rolling.
Okay, so we got to go to our next guest.
Yeah, we're ready to go.
All right, so we had Darrell Bankes on, TD of Foxwood Open. We've got the FPO winner, Chantel Budinsky. We're going to move on to the 2024 Foxwood Open MPO winner, Thomas Gilbert. Thomas's sponsors include Thought Space Athletics, Goat Towel as well, Disc Republic, Whale Sack. He was down in the U.S. earlier this year playing on the DGPT. Let's welcome Thomas Gilbert to the show.
Hey, Thomas, how are you doing?
Good. How are you guys?
We're
Really
doing
good.
fantastic. Thank you for joining us tonight.
Of course, no problem.
Yeah, the first thing we wanted to do, Thomas, was just say congratulations on the big win at the Foxwood Open over the weekend.
Thank you.
Yeah. And then on top of that, similar to when we just talked to Chantel, not only a big win, but it's 2 in a row for you. How does that feel?
Yeah, that feels great. It was, definitely an event I was looking forward to all year, coming back and playing Foxwood, a course that really I feel like suits my game and have a good history with. And so, yeah, going back to back felt really nice.
Yeah. And then with Foxwood there, is that a course that's kind of, when you do get home, is it close to you? Is it a place you can drive and go back home each night, or are you finding a place to stay up there?
Yeah, so like it is a close event to me in relation to most events I play, obviously, but it still is about a 2.5 hour drive from where my home base is when I am here in Ontario visiting my family. So we did get an Airbnb. My parents came and watched. My dad caddied for me as well for the tournament, and so we had a spot like literally 10 minutes from the course for the weekend.
Awesome.
And with all the travel that you do, that must have been a great opportunity for mom and dad to get to spend some time with you. And is it? I've been talking to my dad about having him come caddy for me. Is that the best caddy you can have? Is when you have such a good supporter on your bag? Yeah,
definitely. I think my dad has caddied for me at a good number of events now, and so we have like a good system in place. He's always there and supportive when caddying for me on the bag. So it's a nice feeling, and also just kind of like sets me a little bit like in a more level-headed state when I'm playing the course, which is always good for your performance too.
For sure. And with that too, Thomas, then if dad caddies and you do win a tournament like this, does that convince him and you to say, all right, when I get back to the next event, until I miss an event, Dad, you're on the bag. You got to keep coming with me.
Yeah, no, we definitely thought about that before. Even a couple events in the States, he has come down and caddied for me. Mostly the ones nearby, but even before, like I think I played 2 events down in California where they kind of just made like a little trip out of it, and was able to caddy for me. Unfortunately, that was like one of the funny coincidences of a bad experience because that was back in 2021, I believe, and I actually got COVID in the middle of their trip and gave them both COVID in that process. The first time that either I or my parents had gotten COVID was, of course, the one time that they came down to watch me play. So I actually had to drop out of the first tournament that they came down to watch me play, and then luckily we were all better in the clear to then have them carry me back at the next tournament.
Yeah, so if he was a little bit shy of joining you on another event, we all understand why.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. Well, we were talking about if we can go back to the Foxwood Open, we had said that, there is some video coverage, but it's not like DGN where we can just watch it all weekend long and see what you guys are doing. And Darrell and I, we're located out in Western Canada, as well as a lot of our listeners are out in Alberta, BC, Saskatchewan, that kind of area. So we thought, well, what better way to get like a breakdown of how the tournament went and all the excitement of it than to talk to the guy who won the tournament. So
yeah, for sure.
We were hoping that maybe you could kind of, as detailed as you want or as deep as you want, like we will not get bored of anything you have to tell us. So if you wanted to kind of maybe start with round one and just kind of how did the tournament start and how did it go for you?
Yeah, so I mean, even a little bit before round one, Friday was my one big opportunity to go play practice rounds out at the course. I kind of planned it out like, okay, I'm sure there's not that many changes from last year. I feel pretty comfortable on the course. And I had heard about the changes that they had put in place for the event. So like I wasn't really too worried about it and was ready, like, okay, I'm going to go down in the morning, get a full round in, and then maybe come back in the afternoon and play a couple holes that I want to like really get like dialed in. And I get to the course and like the moment I get there, it just starts pouring rain. The whole drive down, like clear skies. And then as soon as I get there, just like dumped rain for the whole entire day pretty much. So we actually like postponed the start of my practice round about an hour because it was raining that heavy, and then eventually went out when it lightened up. But got my rounds in, took a golf cart around, so I stayed pretty dry and kind of only threw some of the tee shots, and then picked up, didn't really do any kind of like putting on each basket or anything, just trying to get the tee shots dialed in. But then the tournament days were actually really nice. We had Saturday and Sunday were absolutely beautiful weather and really good scoring conditions, and I was able to kind of capitalize on that, shooting 9 and 10 under par, which gave me a pretty nice lead, which was good because round 3, some of the bad weather came back in, and we had like a 2-hour lightning delay in the middle of our round. I believe, I was on hole number 4. Had just thrown the drives when they called us off the course. So there's a lot of like up in the air what the conditions were going to be like, if it was going to even calm down enough to go out and play the round, how many holes we were going to need to get in for scores to count. Like there was also a lot of exciting things happening with the USDGC spot because I felt pretty comfortable with mine, but I know like the battle for second place was pretty tight. And I think even within the first 3 holes, Marty had actually tied Cam Zanini for the spot, and so like it would have been needing to get minimum 9 holes in for the score to count. So that was also on people's minds and things, because if it reset, it would then just go back to Cam. But luckily, we were able to get back out there and actually finish the entire round. I think tapping the last putts shortly after 9 p.m.
Wow.
Yeah, I know Darrell Bankes had mentioned that during that last round there, when you were approaching the last 18 island, that the street lights were on, the lamps were on.
Yeah.
So, I just wanted to go back to your first round there. You said that you scored 9 under. That was 10 birdies and 1 bogey. So you definitely came out firing on that first round for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. It felt good.
Yeah.
Well, and with that, Thomas, too, is that like Darrell and I, we played a tournament recently, and one of the things being amateurs, what we do is we'll look at the course and we'll say, well, this is what par is. But once we do our practice round, we say, this is what Jeremy and Darrell's score will be, so that we're a little less disappointed if we're not shooting even or under or whatever the case is. So, you know, we set +5, that's our target type thing. So now my question to you is, when you go out and you do your practice round and you come into round 1, I think today -9 is probably what I'm going to shoot. Is that kind of like, do you have a score like that set for yourself?
I usually have like a range of scores. Like I kind of have like a balance in my head of like, okay, how many birdies out here do I feel like I have an opportunity to get? And then it's like, what's a realistic number? Like if I'm playing well, like how many of those am I actually going to execute? Because a lot of the tee shots there, luckily I felt pretty comfortable with. Like the shot that I needed to throw, I felt very comfortable in doing. So I was like, okay, I'll have probably, if I'm playing good, like 12 to 15 opportunities for birdie. Hopefully I might have a good putting day. Like some of them aren't going to be necessarily all tap in. So I'm going to have to make some putts from like 15 feet all the way out to like 45, 50 feet. And it's like, okay, so if I'm having an average putting day, yeah, somewhere around 9 down sounds about right. But that's kind of like, yeah, some of the process. Because I know you can have ebbs and flows to each round that you play. Like you're never going to be exactly spot on. So it's not like, okay, I know I got these birdies and like for sure I'm getting those tomorrow. There's some holes that might feel like that, but I don't know. Round one, my bogey was on one of the easiest holes on the course. So sometimes it just shakes out a different way than you plan.
Yeah.
So yeah, and with that, then you go out and then you do the same thing. You come out with the round two, and I've got it here because I have to highlight it, Thomas. I had to actually put it in bold for myself because you're like, oh yeah, the -9 round, and then you go out and you hit 11 birdies with just one bogey in that second round. So yeah, it got even better. Now we know you've got a huge drive, and we know from watching your social media and seeing some of the different things that you've put out there that you were dialing in the out of bounds, and it seems like that was the case here. Now, were you parking a lot of those birdies because you were talking about your putt, or was your putt just on fire? Was it a mix of both?
Yeah, a little mix of both. Actually, my putt ironically got progressively worse throughout the tournament. So like round one, I hit 2 pretty solid like bonus birdie putts from like 40 to 60 foot range. And then round two, I kind of made everything I needed to inside circle, but didn't really. I think I might have made one outside circle putt. That kind of like you kind of feel like you should make one of those, at least at my level. And then the final round kind of was like all over the place. But yeah, I think that second round, I was truly parking a lot of the holes. I was putting it within 15 feet. I would say on 2/3 of the birdies that I got out there.
Sweet. And that's our buddy, our buddy Darrell, our buddy Mark, he likes to say, he's like, park it, don't putt it, because he doesn't like to putt, right? So if you can do that, makes the hole a lot easier.
Definitely.
When we were looking there at the third round, though, and we do now know from talking with you there that you guys got 4 holes in before the big lightning delay, and obviously the score wasn't quite the same, but with that lead that you had, did you kind of approach that third round differently? Were you, or in your head, do you say, I'm going to just take it and play it safe, I've got a good healthy lead, or were you still going for it and it just wasn't happening? What happened in that third round?
Yeah, I was still going for it, and just it wasn't quite happening. I know if I just kind of like locked back into my own game, like I feel like when I am playing well out there, like even it would take something phenomenal from the other players to probably match or catch me, especially with the 6-stroke lead that I had going into the final round. So my game plan was just to kind of play the exact same solid, so the same shots, and just try to execute them. Yeah, like I said, my putting wasn't as hot as I wanted to be in the final round, or as it was the first 2 days. So I actually missed quite a few opportunities, especially I remember right before the delay, I think I missed like 3 putts on the first 3 holes that I like somewhere. I think like a 40-footer on hole 1, like a 25-footer on hole 2, and like another like probably 35, 38-footer on hole 3. But I was like, man, come on, you gotta like focus up and get these. Like you're leaking strokes, and I mean, it didn't actually matter at that point. I don't believe I'd actually lost any strokes to my closest competitor at the time, which felt odd as well. But it was the storm was brewing, so like there was some gusty winds and conditions that were happening. But I knew I kind of wanted to try to turn it on, and eventually, it kind of just shook out the way it did. Where luckily it didn't require an absolutely blowout performance to take the win down, but I was thankful for the lead that I built out the first 2 rounds.
Yeah. You mentioned it there about if you get into that space where you're missing a putt and you miss another putt and you miss another putt, and you Like, do you put a lot of weight in your mental approach to the game as well? Like, are you able to talk to yourself and kind of get yourself out of that negativity and kind of forget those 3 holes, and then when you're going forward, kind of get right back on into your game plan again?
Yeah, I think I try to just focus on different aspects of the game. So like I try to look at the positives. Sometimes it's like, okay, but you had a putt on all 3 of those holes. So it's like that's okay that you missed them. Just keep giving yourself opportunities. You know you're a good enough player that you'll eventually make the putts. You'll find your rhythm. Sometimes I'll even try to just like simplify a part of the game that's like was causing me trouble. So like my putt felt a little bit off, and I try to just focus on a little bit simpler motion to my putt, and that seemed to work pretty good for the rest of the round. Didn't do anything spectacular, but I think I made pretty much all of my putts inside circle from there on out, and just trying to not like put too much pressure on it, because if you let yourself crumble under the pressure, then it can really become difficult or disastrous.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I know we spoke to Colleen McInnes about that. One thing that me and Jeremy, we don't struggle with it, but it kind of gets in our head is whenever we approach a hole that we don't like, it becomes our nemesis hole. And then,
Right.
you're instantly going to mess up on that. So getting your right mental side working for you is definitely going to, it'll work for you, and that rather than against you.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. She taught us that this is now our new favorite hole. We just had a bad time last time, but not this next time. This is our favorite hole.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's a good mentality to have.
So as you went into 3rd round too, Thomas, and you were ahead of Marty and Cam, so did you almost get to be a bit of a spectator to watch that battle for the second place play out? So is it almost distracting and say, "Oh wait, I'm playing this game too. I gotta stay on top of it"?
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm very focused on what I kind of do a lot. I think it was kind of I was still counting the strokes a little bit more towards like, okay, like Marty's kind of playing good, but I had like this many strokes on him. Like, is he close enough to catch me? No, I don't think so, unless I like really do something bad. And then I kind of was then looking whenever I would check in on scores, I'd be like, oh yeah, like Andrew Leyland's coming in from the 3rd card, and he's having a hot round so far. He's like right up in there in the mix with them. And then like I remember on hole number 12, I checked the scores, and Marty just asked me, it's like, is anyone doing anything right now, or is it still like me and Cam? And because he doesn't look at the scores, I don't even know if he has his phone with him when he plays his round. So he was just curious for his battle's sake, like what was happening, or if it was close with anyone else. And I told him like, no, it's still just you two, because I think he had a pretty good idea of where Cam was, like just kind of keeping track in his head. And then I remember he asked me again on hole 17 just to see if anyone else had done anything, but then also he's like, that tied us, didn't it? And I was like, yeah, it did. You need to kick in a high gear on this last hole or get ready for a playoff. And he pulled off a phenomenal birdie on the last hole to be able to close out the victory for that last USDGC spot.
Yeah. And luckily it didn't go into a playoff. Otherwise the glow discs might have been coming out or something like that.
For sure. I think everyone was kind of relieved of that a little bit. I think trying to organize a playoff after 9 p.m. would have been pretty stressful and challenging for the tournament directors.
For sure, especially after such a long weekend as it was.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, you mentioned obviously there about you qualifying for the USDGC, and that's always a great event that we like to watch. How does it feel to play in that event?
It's great. I mean, the USDGC obviously is a very prestigious event, so I think just qualifying for it is a pretty good feeling. Being able to go back to Winthrop and play the iconic USDGC course is always fun. I hope this year I can find a better strategy for it, because that's the same way that you guys have nemesis holes. That's like my nemesis event. I don't know. It's like, for some reason, every year I get there and I like even feel pretty good in practice rounds, and then tournament comes around and just a little bit of pressure is applied and I throw it so far out of bounds so many times that it just, I don't know. Yeah, it's a very challenging course, but that's why it's such a prestigious event. It really challenges the best of the best players.
Certainly.
Yeah.
And, you know, with that event happening, and you've kind of come home though to Canada for a bit, and it looks like this year you've really got a good mix of not only going down and playing on the Disc Golf Pro Tour, you're going to Europe, you're playing in Canada, you're heading out west. So anybody listening, because we have a lot of listeners in Alberta and BC and that, they can catch you multiple times out here. What are some, I'm thinking, I know that you're going out for nationals for sure.
Yeah.
And then you've got some other, is it BC Open? Is that another one you're going to play, or what else are you coming out to see us out here with?
Yeah, so I'll be playing the Tournament Capital Open first. I think that's 2 weeks before BC Open. I'll actually be running 2 events near like the Vancouver area, the Battle with Big Maple event series that Chance Stat is helping me run out there. It's a fun little 3-disc series event that it's just kind of for fun and people that come out and have a good time, meet me, have a fun challenge, do a clinic, and really just enjoy that week in between. And then the BC Open after that, which will also be fun because I haven't played at least a tournament round on Raptors Knoll yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
you mentioned about Battle with Big Maple, that they have a chance to meet you. I was reading it earlier on today that they actually have a chance to play a hole with you as well.
Yes, yeah, that's the fun part of it. Is I'll kind of run through all the holes and catch people as they're playing the course, and have a chance to play a hole with each group. So that's a fun little extra bit to the whole day that they get to try to show their stuff, or get to hopefully see some stuff, or maybe beat me on that hole that we're playing on. So it was a really fun idea that we came up with.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Yeah. Well, Thomas, we seen the posts in that about who was the first pro you met and that type of thing. And I didn't actually meet you, but you were, when I started out, the first pro I saw, and that was at the Tournament Capital Open last year. And I remember playing around at Nose Hill, and then I was playing Logan Lake, and you guys were playing, or sorry, Rose Hill, and you guys were playing there. And I came out and watched you. And then that was my awe. There was the awe of me throwing a disc and first getting it to fly. And then there was the awe of me watching you throw a disc about the distance I could throw 3 throws. And that's when I was like, wow, this is the difference between an am and a pro. So I was in awe, and it's just fantastic. I'm not trying to fanboy, but it's awesome to have you on the show for that reason. Now,
absolutely, yeah.
Well, when you come up to Tournament Capital Open, you're going to be right in the neighborhood of where Nationals is going to be held out in Clearwater. Are you going to try? Do you have the time to make some time to get out there and get a chance to see those courses early?
Yeah. It's been. I've thought about trying to get a little bit extra time. Potentially, I don't know, before or after the tournament is the best time to try to maybe do something like that. It definitely intrigues me to try to get a glimpse of the Nationals courses while in the area, because it sounds really cool. The Clearwater course up there that they have looks beautiful from the, I don't know, there was a short little promo video that I saw for it that looked really cool. So being able to see the course would definitely be something on my list to do if I have the extra time. But I hope so, but we'll kind of see how all the plans shake out.
Yeah. Well, and I think too, Darrell, it'd be nice. We're familiar with, of course, the Western pros. So we had Casey Hannemeyer on the show, and we just got to talk to Noah Higgins down in Lethbridge here this past weekend. So it's probably good that you're coming out and getting familiar about competing against those guys again before you get to Nationals, because I know a lot of them are going to be up there.
Yeah. No, I hope so. I hope a good amount of Canadians can make it up to that event, because I want it to be a fully stacked field as well.
Yeah. And do you find too, as you're on the pro tour and you're touring around and you're talking with some of the US players, are you constantly selling them on, you got to come up to Canada, you got to try this course, you got to try that course, or is that something that you're always selling Canada?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, a big one was the Discmania Open last year, trying to get as many of the pros up there to play out in PEI as I could, because I think that's like such an amazing disc golf like haven, that whole scene out there in PEI. Obviously disappointed that Hillcrest kind of got messed up a little bit before they could see it really in its true prime, but I know a lot of them still went out and played it and played the event, which was really exciting to see. And yeah, I'm always trying to talk up the big game and all parts of Canada. I mean, for Foxwood, I was like, oh, hey, you should come up. There's USGC spots if you want to come up, or like events out in BC. I'm trying to talk up Tournament Capital Open and BC Open. Like Raptors Knoll is like a course that I talk up all the time. And then even this year, it kind of finally seems like a couple more people are coming up. But the same weekend as Canadian Nationals, unfortunately, the Diameter Open is happening, which seems to get a little more response because it's actually a perfect kind of like segue between the tour events between D-Glow in Michigan and the Green Mountain Championship in Vermont. Actually, it's a little shortcut to cut through Canada, and I think the Diameter Open course is like 15 minutes off the highway on the route. So yeah, there's a good amount of people going out to that one, I think, this year.
Yeah. We just spoke to Darrell Bankes there. It actually has a new name this year. It's Innova Rip is what they're calling it now.
Oh yeah, I heard about that.
Yeah, with all those pros coming up from Innova, they mentioned Jeremy Colling and
Gannon and Isaac and Ezra
Babcock,
and
yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
But mentioning about traveling and bringing pros up to Canada, one thing I wanted to bring up with you was towards the end of last year, you put out on your social media a graphic of all the traveling that you did, and it was just amazing to think. You know, when we're watching coverage, we see you at one event, and then we kind of don't do anything, and then the next event we see you at the next event, but we don't realize how much traveling and how much effort and just all the logistics that goes into it, how much traveling you have to do in a year.
Yeah, no, it was even kind of a surprise to myself when I made that video of just like, wow, I drove from here to here and there and flew from here to there and back and forth and all this.
Yeah.
Like even just the travel from like here in Ontario out to BC, and then I think I played like a tournament or two in BC, then flew back here and played like another tournament or two, then flew back out for the West Coast swing last year. And yeah, I don't remember the exact like total like mileage of the entire trip or kilometerage. Right. Yeah, but it was like, wow, I do so much travel for my job. But I mean, it's pretty cool to also map out like, wow, look how much of like North America and the world that I've been able to like see throughout this entire year. It's also pretty amazing to think of that way too.
Yeah, it's amazing that you actually get to do this for a job, and you're not just traveling from one place to another place to go and sit in an office somewhere. You're traveling all these places, and then you actually get to go and play disc golf when you get there. So yeah, it's a dream job for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Well, and with this year too, with the European stops that you're going on, is that a little bit more European than last year, or is this about the same amount of events you did?
This is about the same. I think it's actually one event less than last year, but that's just the way that the timing worked out with the events here in North America that I wanted to play and the ones in Europe that seemed like the best options to play. It just kind of balanced out that the three events was going to be the best fit for me this year, because I love it out there in Europe. Like I think that would be kind of like, it would be nice to be able to spend a little more time out there because it's such a cool disc golf scene. Like it's so, I don't know, it's just different. Like even like US to Canada is a little bit different and unique in its own way. Like Europe is its own thing, and even country to country, you notice like the different senses of community and the way that even the landscape is all very awesome to see. And so I'd love to go more, but I know it kind of overlapped a little bit with the BC trip, which I also like want to really prioritize because I love being in Canada, and also being able to see different parts of Canada too is really nice. So I tried to make sure to make that trip happen before thinking about the European trip this year.
It's awesome.
And then Darrell, if that wasn't enough for Thomas, then he says, Yeah, sure. I'll go to Australia with Team Canada. Why not? So that's
Yeah.
also on the list.
Exactly. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So,
Yeah, that's very exciting. I'm thrilled to have the opportunity to travel to Australia to play in that event. It will be my first time going down under to play well at all, but to play disc golf is even cooler.
Yeah.
well, we're excited for that.
Yeah. And we're hoping that we can recreate the Pan Am win as well.
That's right. I know. I'm
Yeah.
very hopeful for that too.
Yeah. Perfect.
Good. Well, we appreciate the time you've given us, Thomas, but before we wrap it up there, we want to make sure to give a good shout out to your sponsors as well, so that anybody who's listening, well, Thought Space Athletics is one of your sponsors.
Of course.
Goat Towel, and I've got my list, but if you want to help me out here so that we make sure we cover them all. So yeah, we've got our dessert, and not only that, let's go.
Hang on.
Sorry, I should have waited. Goat Towel.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, nice.
We like to support local. We like to support Canadian wherever we can. So,
And then also you've got Disc Republic as well.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And Whale Sacks too.
Yep. Disc Republic, Whale Sacks, She Dyes Her Discs, and Vivo Barefoot.
Awesome. And now, if people like, I know when if people are buying from Disc Republic, there's usually a code. Do you have your code? Do you know what that one is?
I honestly would have to double check. I think it might be like code Thomas, but I know there's also a lot of other great pros out there that have codes for Disc Republic too, which is awesome to see. And yeah, actually, Disc Republic also put out a pre-release or a pre-order for the next couple days for the Pride jersey, which just dropped today.
Yes.
And Disc Republic right now is actually one of the only spots you can get it for in Canada, because the link is not working for Canadians right now, which is we're trying to get that fixed as soon as possible. But I know Disc Republic is their pre-order is working a-okay.
Yeah. Right. Well, and that's the one thing we know is that we see a lot of pictures in that on social media of people wearing your jerseys because they're always fire. They've always got the best designs. They're always looking good. And the Pride one's no different. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely very excited for all the jerseys and designs and discs that are coming out this year. ThoughtSpace does such an awesome job with it.
Yeah. Well, and then what we'll talk about too is that people can follow you on Instagram and follow on YouTube. I think everywhere is Thomas Gilbert 54. Is that how they can find you?
Yep, absolutely.
I got it.
Oh, there we go.
Ooh,
Darrell's always
nice.
able to pull
There
things up.
I got there in the end.
Perfect.
Yeah, that looks
That's a
great.
sharp-looking jersey.
Yeah, I'm very excited for that to all come out.
Yeah. Darrell and I, we've got a few jerseys, and we're just starting to realize that we're going to have like a jersey on over a jersey, and then after the front nine, pull one off, and then we have our second one on, and
I know.
that type of thing. And you've just shown us another one to add onto our wish list. So
exactly. Yeah.
Perfect. So before we let you go, Thomas, is there anything else that you want to shout out or let everyone know?
Yeah, just thanks for having me on, and as well the Pride jerseys out, and if you have any BC listeners who are still want to sign up for Battle of Big Maple, both the events, we have one in Squamish and one in Stillwood, which are kind of on both sides of Vancouver, one on the Saturday, one on the Sunday. So if you want, you can still go and sign up for that. I think it's June 22nd and June 23rd. So anybody who also wants to sign up, come meet me and play in a fun event, definitely would love to see you there. So.
Yeah, and maybe get a chance to play a hole with Thomas Gilbert.
That's right. Yep, play a hole with me. I would love to see what you got.
Awesome. Well, Thomas, good luck with the rest of the season, and we're hoping that maybe after one of the other A tiers, because we're hoping to talk to all of the winners of the Canadian A tiers. Maybe it'll be BC Open, maybe it'll be TCO, maybe we'll be chatting before you know it.
Yeah, I hope so. Hope so.
Perfect.
All right. Awesome. Thanks so much, guys.
Thanks for your time, Thomas. We're glad you joined us tonight.
Me too.
All the best.
Thank you.
All right. Take care.
And Darrell,
just like that,
we've talked to Darrell Bankes,
yeah,
Chantel Budinsky, and Thomas Gilbert all in one episode.
That was a lot.
Yeah, and it looks like Thomas is going to be with us here.
Yeah, he'll be along for the ride.
Well, at least it paused. You know, sometimes when something does it like that and it pauses, and it's not usually the most flattering view. So this is actually, he got off pretty lucky there with that one.
Yeah.
So do you remember what I put in the schedule at this part? Do you want to do that part? Ready? Woo! Ah! Man, I have to pinch myself every time we record an episode because we are so fortunate and so lucky for everything this podcast is doing.
Yeah, no, I mean, and it's the same thing we say all the time. We have to be prepared because some of the guests we get on, they may not be used to doing podcasts, or it may not be their thing. Maybe we'll get 1 or 2 word answers out of them, but when we get guests on and they just are so open to, are so happy to open up and talk to us about whatever we want to ask them, it's just makes our job a lot easier.
Yeah. And I think what this does too, Darrell, is it solidifies what we've been trying to do with the podcast. And that is for everybody in Canada who watches disc golf and pays attention to the Pro Tour, you're not always going to see Thomas at the very top right now. He's working his way up. You're not always going to see Chantel there. But these are great players that are Canadians. And now you know who they are. And now you know who to follow and who to pay attention to, and know that you don't have to watch DGN to see great coverage. You can go out to your local tournament and see some of these players.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And, also it brings to top of mind when we say, obviously, I've got a couple discs here, you've got the towel, we do what we can to support the players, the players when they, when they get the disc or when they get the sponsorships. Actually, us going out there and buying it, not only do we get great quality products out of it as well, but obviously it helps them keep doing what they love to do as well.
That's right, because there aren't a lot of sponsorships out there that are actually paying the players a lot of money. Sometimes it's supporting them through giving them product and giving them items and that, but they still got to get into their tournaments. So it's not like hockey where someone's getting, well, maybe Simon Lizotte or somebody, but they're not getting these $1 million contracts.
For the most
part, yeah. So anytime we help out by buying their products, it helps support them and allows them to do those tours. Yeah. But wow. I don't even know where we go from here, Darrell. I know you say that, and I think I'm with you this time.
That's normally my line.
Well, let's get this one wrapped up and put a bow on it, and let's go through a few more things.
Yeah. Well,
so
let's get to the Edgar bag tag. It wouldn't be an episode, like I said before, unless we talked about the Edgar bag tag. I think it's going to be a pretty quick one, though.
It is a quick one. So last time we talked, Riley Douglas has it, and guess who still has it? Riley Douglas.
Riley Douglas. He kind of, the clue is in the question there.
That's right. It was one of those rhetorical ones where you just shoot the answer right out.
Yeah.
But so Riley, when I reached out to him, which seems like I'm chatting with him weekly now about this number 1 tag.
Yeah.
He had said night shift, poor weather, people being away, casual rounds not being real challenges, more just fun casual rounds. He's been able to hold on to the tag. So tomorrow's Thursday Rundle League. We've got a big time window. Track Riley down, take him down, get that tag moving around again. That's kind of what I got on the number 1 tag.
There you go.
So then
that's the update.
That's it. That's the only update this week. Yeah. So we'll keep them short if they're short. We won't dive too deep.
What did you get up to this weekend?
Well, I went with a real good buddy, actually 3 good buddies and a bunch of other friends down to Lethbridge, Alberta, the Windy City.
Yeah, we first big tournament of the year for us. We went down, played in the spring runoff. My first time doing an event over 3 days. Normally the couple of events that I've done before have been 2 rounds in 1 day, but this was not a shotgun start. Everyone had a tee time. You played 1 round a day, and then we were all left twiddling our thumbs, wondering what we were going to. Well, for us, we were kind of lucky because we didn't tee off until, I know Mark and Tyler, who came down with us, they were out at 11 o'clock in the morning. We were lucky enough we didn't get out till 1, but that meant not finishing until a bit later on. But having the time to do 1 round a day and then having that time to relax and recuperate and, not have to worry about, okay, I need to quickly get some food down my throat because I need to go back out and throw another 18 holes. Definitely was a new experience for me.
Well, that wasn't the only new experience about the weekend. I'm going to throw out another thing here. So Darrell and I, you and I, we're good buddies. We're good podcast friends. But when you spend 3 days and half the day you're sitting around waiting to play disc golf, you learn a lot about each other. And I think you learned that Jeremy needs an early tee time as I start to talk in the third person, because if I don't even know what to do with myself. So
Yeah, it's amazing how you get into your own rhythm, your own daily grind of what you need to do and what needs to get done. But when suddenly all of that gets taken away from you and you're just sitting there looking at somebody else playing on their phone, it's one of those things that you just can't leave them be. You can't let them just sit there and play on their phone. That you have to come over to them and start talking to them about disc golf.
yeah, and then you also got to see Jeremy's full stretch routine, how it takes forever.
Yeah, that was probably something that we didn't need to see.
Yeah, there you go. But why don't we tell everybody a little bit about how the rounds went too, and just kind of how our tournament went. So we started out round one. We didn't get a chance to play on the same card. It was kind of a random shuffle that they did there. But we both went out on the course ahead of time, did our practice round, and we decided that +5 was the target.
Yeah.
And just as Foxwood Open has a very tough hole 1, so did Aperture Park where we went.
It shouldn't be. We kept trying to bring it back to Wally's Way. It's a tunnel shot. It's a little bit narrower of a tunnel, I think. There's no Mandos, but definitely had our number for sure. We thought we would take a bogey on it, and on the first round we took a bogey on it.
Yeah, not later on, but
yeah,
we kind of hammered ourselves. We both went around through there and we had our scores we were trying to hit. We got some of them, we missed other ones, and by the end of the round, I finished with a +7. So I was kind of close to where I needed to be.
Yeah, and then I went out about 10 minutes after you, and I went around and I kind of played my round of golf, and I ended up with a +7 as well.
Yeah, so even Steven, well, for you and I in our scores, and that gave us a chance to go out to the big bomb course that is Nicholas Sharon Park on the second day.
Yeah.
And the nice thing about that was having the same score got us onto the same card. So we were able to get a chance to play together for at least one round.
Yeah, and like you said, it's not very technical, just a big bomber course, and like we were saying before about Foxwood hole number 1 not being a very welcoming hole. Hole number 1 in Nick Sharon is I think it's 888 par 5,
something like that. And for the pros, it was like 1,000 feet or something like that. Yeah, so it was a big one, but we got through that round, and we didn't actually
play that one. We walked it on the practice day. We practiced Aperture, but we didn't actually practice Nick Sharon. We just kind of did a walk around, and we're kind of glad we did, because the weather certainly started to come down on the this Friday afternoon there.
Yeah, as Mark was saying in the comments, that's where some of that rain and some of that, a little bit of that sleet came in too, and the wind. Those were some of the things we experienced there.
Yeah.
But one highlight, and we'll keep it to this on round 2, was you were looking at some stats there, and there were 2 birdies on a hole at Nicholas Sharon that day in MA40. There was 20 MA40 competitors, and there was a specific hole. I think 11 was it?
11 in specific. There was only 2 birdies out of the whole card, or out of the whole division on that hole.
Wow!
And when I was scanning through, I had one of them.
You did.
I did.
And I had the other one.
Yeah, that was probably my no, it wasn't my favorite hole, but it was the best hole that I threw. Yes. I hadn't thrown anything understable all weekend so far, because everybody says when you're going down the Lethbridge in the wind, stable up. So I took a lot of understable discs out of my bag, but I decided on that hole that it wasn't actually that windy. It wasn't as windy as I thought it was going to be. Stood up there with my Vandal, managed to get a nice perfect S curve out of it, and where the basket was, it kind of dipped out of view, but I knew it was coming back to the left.
Yes.
So I knew it would be somewhere near the basket. And I happened to be parked right under the basket. I was probably 5 feet away from the basket, and I thought, well, this is perfect. I've got a birdie, tap-in birdie here. I'm going to get at least a stroke on the card here.
Yes. And then you kind of got a little bit disappointed, because that was probably my biggest putt of the whole week to get that birdie. Not Jeremy quite as close as you were.
40-foot putt and drains it for the birdie as well. I'm like, you just can't let me have anything.
Yeah. And then
but I did end up birdieing 18, which was a long par 4. So I felt pretty good about that.
And that finished you with a +6. I finished with a +8. So I was 2 strokes behind you. So we didn't get to play together on the final day. But overall, the final day was back at Aperture. I had a reasonable round. I ended up hitting that +5 that I was looking for. Got 1 birdie on the day, which birdies, as we were talking about, were really hard to come by. And and I
Yeah.
finished out, I think plus 20 overall is where I was.
Yeah. Yeah, my day didn't go as good as I would have expected it to on the front nine. Didn't go really that great on the back nine either, if I'm honest. But all in all, I ended up shooting a +8 and then finishing +21. But all in all, it was a good tournament. We definitely played above our rating.
Well above our rating, and that's the win for
Yeah.
me, is that you and I were like 50 points above our ratings.
Yeah,
So
yeah, exactly. So that's always a good, regardless of the tournament and the scores. At
Yeah.
least there was some positive out of it.
So come second Tuesday of June, we'll both should have smiles on our faces when the ratings come out.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
always good to see.
And I guess to wrap that part up about what we're talking about is thanks to Rebecca Johnson, thanks to Noah Higgins. We got to meet a lot of wonderful people down there. We met Jesse Prado Smith. We met Kevin King. We got to meet Blake Belding. Like, we could just keep listing names over and over. But that is a tournament that if you've not gone down to Lethbridge and played, I would say it's got to be on your list if you're an Alberta disc golfer or a Southern BC disc golfer.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. For sure. So then the last thing we want to do is kind of tell you about the pros on the Canadian pros on the disc golf tour. And the one that starts coming up over and over and over again, Darrell.
Starting to creep more into our consciousness, right? The name's starting to come around more and more often now.
All right. Should I do it? Should I say it?
Go for it. Say it.
Sophia Donake.
There you go. You got it right. Well, as far as we know that it's right.
Yep.
Yeah.
So Sophia, we talked about how well she did at the Las Vegas Challenge. And then she just went up and played at the OTB Open in California as well.
Yeah.
And while she was there, she ended up finishing with a 14th place, which was good enough to cash, and earned herself a crisp $725 to put in her pocket. But when I was looking, she's played 7 events this year, and she's cashed at every one of them.
There you go. The model of consistency.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So then when I was looking again, she's going up to Washington and she's going to be playing in the Cascade Challenge this weekend. So if you want to be doing PDGA Live or following Sophia, that's how you can do it.
Yeah.
And then the other pro that we wanted to talk about was Max Rajitnik. Yeah. He also played at the OTB Open. He placed 46th, which sounds lower, but that was still above the cash line.
Still good enough to get some cash in your pocket. Yeah. Still good enough to pay for your entry fee.
Yeah. And then it's going to be a couple weeks, I think, but he's going to be up at the Portland Open. That's where Max is going to be playing next.
Yeah.
And then, of course, we had Chantel and Thomas on the show. Chantel's going to be out at Top Link Open in Barrie. That's going to be another Canadian event that she's going to be playing in. And then Thomas also has about a week off, and then he's going to head down to the Portland Open as well. So if you're following your Canadian pros, that's where you can find the big names. That's where they'll be.
Exactly. Pick your favorite. Well, don't pick your favorite. Watch them all. Follow them all.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, you got time.
Yeah. And then all the other guests, of course, that we've had on the show, you can go and find them on PDGA Live. Casey, Colleen, Martin, any of them.
They're all around.
But that brings us, Darrell, to the part of the show where we find out who is actually hanging around to the end.
Yeah. Well, it looks like we still have a few people in the chat here. For people that do hang around this far into the episode, I think that the chat have been getting a bit slack recently, Jeremy, if I might add.
Oh, really?
We've been getting, so the people that hang around at the end, if you know, you know. At the end of the episode, we want to make sure that the people that hang around let us know that they've hung around, and we come up with a secret word. And we ask the chat to leave the secret word in a sentence, because we don't want to just make it randomly obvious when you put a certain word in a comment on the video. Put the word in a sentence, and then we'll know that you have listened to the end of the show. But we haven't had any comments on our videos. Maybe it's because we're live and everybody's putting the comments in the chat as we're going. But that's not stopping anybody coming back afterwards and just putting a comment on the video. So I'm calling out the chat. I want to see some more comments on videos.
That's for sure. We'd like to see that.
But but please subscribe and please like the video.
That's the other thing. We should have said that earlier. If you guys like the content we're producing and you want more of it, please subscribe to the channel on YouTube, follow us, like us, all of those things. It just gives us more ability to get guests like this for you.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, beforehand, I was thinking Briggsy wants a sticker. We'll get him a sticker. We've got plenty of stickers, Briggsy. I'm surprised you haven't got one. You could have picked one up at Tundra Toss.
But we've got new ones now too, so
we
you
got
can
new
get a
ones,
white
so
one.
You can have a white one or a blue one. You get whichever one you want.
Got
Now, beforehand,
choices.
when I was thinking of a secret word, before the episode, I was thinking, I know what I'm going to suggest, because you always come out with a suggestion. I was going to come out with Team Shambles.
Oh,
but
yes.
now that seems very self-centered, seeing as we just had a 2024 MPO and 2024 FPO Foxwood champions. It seems a bit like, okay, I don't, it shouldn't be about me now anymore. It should be, something that happened between the MPO and the FPO at Foxwood.
Yes.
Something to do with maybe the hole 18, the darkness, the rain delay, weather delay. I don't know. Come on, chat. This is where I'm also calling you out. We need suggestions for the. You have to come up with a secret word quickly, because otherwise Jeremy will come up with one, and then that will be it.
And then it just is it. I'll say it's Foxwood Open, done. Or I'll be like,
Foxwood Open,
best show ever,
Foxy
done.
Frisbees.
Oh, and you know me, I'm pretty much a sucker for the first one that's got a good ring to it. So
Thomas Gilbert's also known for his huck face.
Yes.
So we've got Frisbees for Miss Frisbees.
Well, something could be huck frisbees.
Huck face frisbees? Frisbee huck face? No, that sounds
what about just huck frisbees?
Huck frisbees? Do we like that in the chat? We know there's a delay, but going once. Huck frisbees?
All right. I'm like, we got that dead airspace.
Twice.
And then we got Foxy Frisbees in there too.
Foxy Frisbees is good. Rip it.
Foxy
Huckers.
Huckers.
That works better. Well, Miss Frisbees. We need Miss Frisbees.
Foxwood Frisbee Huckers.
There you go. All three.
Yeah. Yep.
So you
we got it all
for
in.
the Foxwood Frisbee.
Thank you, Briggsy.
Miss Frisbees. And Hucker for the Huck face Thomas Gilbert. There you go. Try and put that in a sentence.
It doesn't have to all go together, as long as all those words make it in the sentence.
Yeah, you can mix it up a little bit.
Yeah, and we talked about that we've got a giveaway that's going to be coming up. I did not have some of the reveals ready, but for next episode, I guarantee we'll start revealing some of the things for our next subscriber giveaway.
Yeah, and if you haven't, stay tuned to our socials for when we're doing the next Fantasy League, and we will have more details about how you can win a gift card to BR Disc Golf. And we thank them so much for being a sponsor of the Fantasy League.
Yeah, sponsor, and Brendan's always watching the episodes as well. So thank you for all the support, Brendan. Now, we've only got one thing to do. And Darrell, this time I'm not ready. So are you ready for this one? Do you got one you can do for us?
Well, Jeremy.
Yes.
I have two discs right here.
Thomas Gilbert and Chantel Budinsky discs.
I have the Thomas Gilbert Mana from Thought Space. I have the F7 from Chantel Budinsky. Doesn't matter which disc I'm going to throw. Whatever hole I step up to, if it's a par 3, if I'm in range.
Aperture hole 1.
Aperture hole 1. I'm going to pick one of these discs. I'm going to step up to the tee. I'm going to show no fear. You're going to be standing in mud. You're going to be throwing down the tree line, down the tunnel gap. It's going to go sailing in. It's going to fly perfectly.
Yeah.
And then it's going to come crashing down into that basket.
Oh, it is it?
It is. But of course, I'm throwing it.
Yes.
And I haven't got a tournament ace. So there's only one thing that those discs are going to do.
And I know what that is. Those discs are going to
chain out! And I'm ready this week.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching. Hopefully the episodes can just keep getting better and better.